6 habits that strengthen your financial situation. You reach the end of the month and ask yourself, how is it possible that I have nothing left? It's not bad luck, and it's not that you don't earn enough. It's that you lack a system. In this video, I'll show you 6 practical habits: control, impulse management, and automation that put you back in control of your money. And at the end, I'll tell you the mistake almost everyone makes when trying to get their finances in order, and that sends them right back to square one. Stay until the end. I'll tell you the #1 mistake that sends you back into chaos. Motivation comes and goes. A system stays. And these 6 habits are your system.
Real finance. Processes, not motivation. You don't need to be a finance expert to improve your financial situation. What you need is a set of repeatable, measurable, and sustainable behaviors. Most people don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they don't have a process that holds up when motivation wanes, when they're tired, or when life gets complicated. These 6 habits are designed to work in real life. A few clear rules, regular review, and automatic routines that reduce decision fatigue. You don't have to apply them all at once. You need to make one habit stick, then move on to the next. A process gets you started. Repetition helps you grow. And that's where the compounding effect does its work.
The compound effect applied to habits. The compound effect isn't just about investments, it's about repeated actions. Small, consistent choices create stability, then leeway, then options. The real benefit isn't just the money saved, it's building an active identity. I manage, not I endure. With that in mind, let's start with the basics: monitoring and review. If the compounding effect stems from repeated actions, then the first thing you need to do is make your choices visible, because you can't improve what you don't measure, and that's where the first habit comes in. The zero-sum budget. Assign a purpose to every dollar. The goal is simple: knowing where every dollar goes and making adjustments along the way. Zero-sum doesn't mean living without money. It means that every dollar already has a designated purpose. Expenses, savings, debt, goals, leisure time, nothing remains unaccounted for. How do you do this without complicating your life? In 3 steps. Step 1, track your spending for 14 days. Not to judge yourself, to get a real picture, not an ideal one. Step 2, a few clear categories: housing and bills, food, transportation, subscriptions, health, leisure, gifts, goals, and above all, contingencies. Step 3, allocate the money as soon as it comes in. Essentials and goals first, then the rest. And set aside a small contingency fund, $20 to $50, because unexpected expenses aren't rare, they're part of the system. Now, the part that really makes a difference, and the most common mistake: many people make a budget once a month, look at it once, and then give up on it. Not because the budget doesn't work, but because it lacks review. So, weekly review, 15 to 20 minutes. Compare plan versus reality, shift funds between categories without drama, identify recurring leaks, micro expenses, delivery fees, subscriptions, and prepare for the following week. Remember this: a budget isn't a document, it's a process of adjustment. Okay, now you have a plan and you're adjusting it too. The point is, how do you protect it from the budget's #1 enemy? Impulse purchases. And that's where the second habit comes in. The 24-hour rule for non-essential purchases. Goal: to stop impulse buying. Stress, boredom, I deserve this. Here's the rule. For every non-essential purchase above a certain threshold, 30, 50, or 100 euro, wait 24 hours. Add it to your wish list or cart and close the page. After 24 hours, buy it only if you still want it. It fits within your budget. It doesn't jeopardize your priorities, debts, emergencies, goals. If you want to make it even more effective, choose one variation: cost in hours of work. Convert the price into net hours. Progressive threshold: 24 hours for over $50, 72 hours for over $200, 1 week for over $500. Look for alternatives while you wait: secondhand, rental, or a substitute you already own. And the key concept is this: you don't need to become iron-willed. You need to create a gap between impulse and action. That's where you regain control. Okay, with the 24-hour rule, you've put the brakes on your impulses. But now you need the other half of the system, ensuring that your money goes in the right directions even when you don't feel like thinking about it. And that's where automation comes in.
Habit 3. Automate your cash flow. The goal is to keep the system running even when you're tired or distracted. The principle is simple: pay yourself first. In other words, as soon as income comes in, a portion is automatically allocated to the things that give you security and help you move forward. We're talking about 4 destinations: an emergency fund, goals, travel, a home, education, investments if they fit your profile, and high-interest debts. To put it simply, the structure is straightforward. First, cover your fixed expenses. Then manage the variable ones. And whatever determines your future goes into a dedicated stream: goals and security. There are 3 practical automations: an automatic bank transfer on payday or the day after, automatic direct debits to avoid late payments and penalties. And when your income increases, your savings automatically increase too, even if it's just by 1 to 2%. Why does it work? Because when money follows predefined rules, discipline is no longer a struggle. It becomes the natural consequence of the system. If this practical, non-judgmental approach is helping you, give it a like and subscribe. The 4th habit is coming soon, and stick with it until the end. The 6th holds all the others together. Okay, so now you've removed the friction. A portion of your money automatically goes where it's supposed to be. But there's a limit to how much you can optimize your outgoings. To make a real leap forward, you need to work on the other variable: increasing what comes in. And that's habit number 4. Increase your market value. Objective: to grow your ability to generate income in a scalable way. Cutting costs helps, but it has its limits. If you want a higher profit margin, you need to become someone the market is willing to pay more for. And be careful, this doesn't mean chasing any old side hustle. It means developing skills that boost opportunities, negotiation, and rates. Rule of thumb: 30 minutes a day, but make it count. Choose one high-impact, cross-functional skill. For example, written communication, emails, proposals, quotes, negotiation, salary and terms, Excel sheets and basic analysis, project management, sales and marketing, even if you're a technical specialist, a digital skill specific to your sector. And use this 3-step method. Step 1, choose a skill linked to income, not curiosity. Step 2, define a measurable weekly output: a proposal, a case study, a portfolio, 2 targeted applications, an exploratory interview, a completed project. And step 3, make the value visible: examples, results, figures, testimonials. Why does it work? Because the market doesn't pay for your intention. It pays for evidence. Okay, increasing your market value boosts your income. But if you have high-interest debts in the meantime, it's like filling a bucket with a hole in it. Part of your income goes down the drain every month. So now let's clear things up. Habit 5.
The debt attack plan. Get out of debt and stay out. Objective: to lift the burden that eats into your money every month and leaves you short of cash at the first sign of trouble. Bad debt doesn't just cost you interest, it takes your breath away, leaves you with no breathing space, and robs you of peace of mind. I'll explain it to you in 4 steps, and in the 4th, I'll give you the 3 safeguards that stop you from falling back into it. Step 1. Get clear without panicking. First of all, no guilt. All you need here is reality. List all your debts and write down for each one how much is left to pay, interest rate, minimum repayment, due date, any extra costs or penalties if applicable. This alone often reduces anxiety. When the figures are clear, the problem becomes manageable. Step 2. Choose a strategy and don't change it every fortnight. You have two options, both are fine. The important thing is to be consistent. Avalanche. Start with the highest interest rate. It's the most efficient choice. Cut the interest first. Snowball. Start with the smallest debt. It's more psychological. Pay it off quickly and you'll feel motivated to keep going. Simple rule. If you lose motivation easily, the snowball method often works best. If you're methodical and want to maximise the mathematical results, go for the avalanche method. Step 3. Set aside a fixed extra amount and make it automatic. This is where the magic happens. Even a small amount, but always. The mistake is waiting for the right month to pay a lot. The right month often never comes. Choose a sustainable amount, even $30, $50, and set it up as a standing order. Set it to go out immediately after your income comes in. That way it doesn't depend on your mood or memory. Consistency beats intensity. Practical tip. Always pay the minimum instalment on all debts, then focus the extra amount solely on the one you're tackling. Step 4. Prevent the debt from returning. This is where you really win. The point isn't just to pay off the debt, it's to avoid falling back into it. Because if you clear your debts but don't have a system in place, the first unexpected event will leave you back at square one. The 3 essential safeguards are a budget, even a simple one, a weekly review, 10 to 15 minutes, and a mini emergency fund, even a small one, but it must be there. And a rule that speeds everything up. When you clear a debt,
And a rule that speeds everything up. When you clear a debt, don't free up that payment to spend it. Put it towards the next debt or the emergency fund. When high interest debts go down, you notice it straight away. More breathing space, more peace of mind, and your money stops working against you. Now comes the most important one, the one that makes all the others work, even in a month's time, even in 6 months' time. Because if you learn but don't apply it, you'll always be back to square one.
Habit 6. Turning study into action. Goal: to improve the quality of your decisions over time. Here is the rule. 30-60 minutes a week, not a day, a week. To do 4 things. Avoid making the same mistakes, recognize traps, marketing, unmissable opportunities, disguise debt, understand a product before signing, adapt your plan when life changes. What should you study? A few areas that truly matter. Budgeting and cash flow, emergency fund and risk, good debt versus bad debt, investing, time horizon, diversification, costs, cognitive biases and the psychology of spending. And now the ritual that really works. Simple and repeatable. 1 fixed day, 45-minute timer, 5 actionable notes, 1 concrete action within 48 hours. Because the truth is this, if it does not become action, it remains entertainment. These 6 habits are not about being perfect. They are about building a system that holds up over time. Quick recap. Zero-based budget, control. 24-hour rule, impulses. Automation, system. Market value, income. Debt plan, margin. Study versus action, continuous improvement. Now do one simple thing. Start with just 1 habit for 7 days. Stabilize it, then add the next one. If you found this video useful, subscribe to the channel. And tell me in the comments, which habit are you starting with today?